it's and welcome back to my channel for another video. And today I am going to be sharing my setup for my reading journal for my March theme. And I'm also going to share how I filled up these pages and some pages for book reviews, so everything about my reading journal. For my supplies, I will be using a notebook therapy journal, which I will link in the description box down below with all of my other supplies. I also used Faber Castel Pitt artist pens, Uniball eye pens for my fine liners, and for the colors I also used the Tombow dual brush markers in green because I chose a 4-leaf clover theme for March, since it is also St. Patrick's Day and I really love doing green themes for March. And a little disclaimer before we go any further in this video, I was using my brand new camera to film this video, and it is the first ever bullet journal video that I filmed with it, so I am still trying to figure out how to use it properly and how to make everything work. So hopefully the video will be good, and I will try to do my best and get better as I make more videos with it. But here I am making the cover page, which I just made a huge clover in the middle of, in the upper part of the page, and I used the lighter shade of green for that one, and then the smaller ones that I did all around have a darker green. And then I just have a ombre lettering for the title, which is March, and I just did a really simple lettering, just keeping things pretty simple for this cover page. For my reading journal, I usually go for like extremely simple themes, and I usually, since I already have a regular bullet journal, try to have this one be really simple and to the point, which is just about reading. Also, I didn't mention it, but this video will be a two-part video. The first part of this video is going to be all about how I made the pages, and then in the second part of this video I will be sharing about how I actually use them and fill them in, so stay tuned for that. And if you are interested in a particular part of this video, I will leave timestamps in the description box down below. Now for my calendar page, it is just a pretty simple spread with a 2-page calendar. Each of the square is 5 by 5 squares, and there's 31 of them for March, and then I just drew a little clover in the corner of each of the squares to have the numbers for the month, and then on top of it there is a 1.5 square tall header to put the name of the days of the week. And then around it I added some decorations. I have a few clovers here and there. I also have a calligraphy title and 2 more sections, which are a to read section with some books that I really want to read for that month, and then the books read, which I will talk a little bit more about once I actually fill the spread in. But it is basically the place where I will put a list of all the books that I have read throughout the month. And that is basically it for like what the calendar looks. I keep it pretty simple to have a lot of space to write and add all of the information that I want about the month. And for the ombre lettering, what I did is just do simple calligraphy for the title, which is March, in the lightest shade of green, and then I took the darkest shade and just went over the top of the letter, because these two colors do go very well together and blend pretty well. I didn't use the lighter shade to blend it out more, which is what I would typically do, but I did add some white strikes with the gel pen in white. The next page that I will be sharing is the monthly reading tracker, which is probably the most normal page that I have, which is normal for a reading journal, which is just a page to add how many pages I have read per day for the entire month. And to change things up, I also used a gel pen in green to add the numbers on the side with a dark green. And I didn't share this one in the supplies because I was not planning on using it, but it is a Papermate ink pen, which I absolutely loved. And then I added the increments at the top. I do from from 0 all the way to 600 and plus pages, just because I do read quite a lot, and I will explain a little bit more about how many pages I've read throughout the month in the next section. And then I just made all pretty the header and added some colors, some clovers, and just made the spread a little bit more pretty, but most of the colors will come in once I actually fill it in. The next page is a review page for all of my book reviews for the month, and I have 3 per page, so depending on how many books I have read throughout the month, I make multiple pages, but 3 were enough for this month. And I have 3 books on this page, and then I will also have a separate review page, which is going to be a full page for my favorite book of the month, but that will be later. For the book reviews, I just have the white part, which you see on top of the stars for the book cover, and then I have for the star rating 5 stars to color in, and then I have some information about the books and a section for thoughts. For the information, I always put the title, the author, when it was released, the start and finish date, the total of pages for the book, in what format I have read it, the genre of the book, and then just some thoughts about it, just things that come to my mind when I think about the book. I just write that down, and I will just explain later on more about the books that I have read for this month. And if you are interested in knowing more about the books that I read, I usually post on my TikTok when I add new books in my journal for the yearly pages. So if you are interested in that, you can go follow me on there. It is always in the description box down below. And now that I have flipped through all of the pages all finished, we are starting to actually fill up the journal with the calendar. And the way I use it is by drawing a line going in the squares from which day I have read a book. I'm sorry that it went so fast, but basically for example, from the 5th to the 9th, I have read the Mortal Instruments, the 4th book in the series. So I just drew a line in green and added on top the title of the book, and then I just did that with all of the books that I have read throughout the month. So I basically just have a visual representation on which day I read which book, and then I added at the bottom all the books that I have read and I have read for this month. So that's just the way I use my calendar. Pretty simple. I don't use that much and I don't add that much to it. Now we are onto the reading tracker, and for this one it's pretty simple. I just basically use a line of color to draw from the left side all the way through to how many pages I have read in that day. And as you can see, I have some really long lines, but I definitely don't read every single day. I usually will read like a lot in one day and then not many days in the month. The most pages I have read in March was 608 in one day, and the smallest amount was just 10 pages. But yeah, it was a pretty good reading month for me. I read small books, but I am pretty happy that I have read 4. And now we are moving on to the review portion, and for that I have the mini covers. I had already 2 that were printed out and already cut out, which are the 2 for the Mortal Instruments series. I've read the 4th and the 5th. I currently don't have the 6th in the series, so I haven't read it. And then I started reading the Ranger's Apprentice, which here the covers are in French because they are the ones that I have read. I read in French, but I make the journal in English, which I know doesn't make a lot of sense. In French, it is the Apprenti d'Halloween for anyone who is interested, which is extremely surprising to me because the 2 don't have anything in common. All the names and everything are so different in both languages, but I have restarted this series that I read when I was a lot younger and loved, but I really wanted to reread it. I'm not going to say too much about the Mortal Instruments just because I don't want to give out any spoilers, but the 4th book I gave 4 stars, as well as the 5th. I absolutely love that series. It is one of my favorites with the Shadowhunter world and everything. I would highly suggest anyone that likes fantasy books to read them. They are so good, and it's just some of my favorite books, and I'm very attached and I'm very excited to continue reading the series. I had already watched the series before, but I never read the books, and they are so different, but in a good way. I love the books way more than I liked the TV show or the movie. But yeah, that's basically for the book reviews. I just fill in all of the information about all the books, and then I will do the full page review for the Ranger's Apprentice, because the one I have down here is actually the second one in the series, and the full page will be about the first one, which I have read and I think deserves its own page because of how much it was my favorite book for this month. for the Ranger's Apprentice, which is the first one, it is the Ruins of Gorlin. I think that's how you pronounce it. And the books are from John Flanagan. They are pretty old books per se. They are like, they're not new books. That's what I was trying to say. They're not old. They're from 2007, the first one. But I read them when I was like around 10, and I never finished the series, and I don't know why. I actually don't own the books. My school library had them, and I fell in love with them, and I really wanted to finish the series now that I'm older and I can understand them a little bit more, because I have to say that when I first read them, I didn't understand half of the story. And for anyone who's curious, it is books about rangers, which are in the service of the kingdom. And basically we follow Will, who is an orphan, and the book starts when he needs to be chosen to do an apprenticeship, because he was an orphan, and he gets to go to a school in the castle and basically have a career, and none of the schools want him because he doesn't have any qualifications. But Rangers actually saw that he has the abilities needed to be a rangers, and he starts his apprenticeships and start working real hard to learn everything about what rangers are, what they actually do, how they protect the kingdom, and all of the military strategies behind everything. It is crazy books. They are really not long, usually about 200 pages, but they are packed full of adventures, which is what I love. There's not a single page where there's not something going on. They are so captivating, and I think I could sit here and talk for hours about these books because I just love them so much, and they are really special to me, but also I just think they're really good. And if you are someone that maybe doesn't read a lot, or you want to get more into reading, I think they are pretty beginner friendly and can be understood pretty well and all of that. But yeah, I highly recommend those if you want to read them. They are fantasy books, and they are awesome. But I am almost at the end of this video. I just have the final showing of the pages, and then a final flip through of all of the pages once they are all filled. So I hope you enjoyed and that this video was helpful, that you got some ideas and were able to see how I use my reading journal on a daily basis. And if you want to see more, definitely subscribe for more. Also, follow me on all of my other socials for more daily updates. I post daily on Instagram and TikTok. And if you have any other theme ideas or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I try to respond to as much as I can. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!